Today's a pretty awesome day. It's the 30th of Nisan, and it's Rosh Chodesh Iyar. So we got two things going for ourselves here. The month of Nisan and the month of Iyar. Nisan is a month of miracles. The miracle of life. The miracle that we move forward and grow in life. So we have that miracle. It's, of course, the miracle of the Jewish people. As many say, that is a testimony to the fact that there is a God. And then we have the month of Iyar. The month of Iyar has an acronym, Ani Hashem Reifecha, I am Hashem, your healer. And God in the healing capacity. The source of everything, so most definitely the source of our healing. So we have from miracles, a month of miracles, the month that the Jewish people left out of Egypt. And we have the month of healing. That's, the sun comes out stronger and we feel the healing quality of the sun. But in truth, we're not sun worshippers. We're worshippers of God, who gives the power to the sun. So instead of looking at the sun, when we look up on a nice sunny day, which we don't have here in Montreal today at least, right? We look up, and as we learned actually in the previous teachings, we look up and train ourselves to sense the presence of God. That was in the previous chapter. Okay. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome on this Rosh Chodesh day, Erev Shabbos, Michael in Germany. Welcome. Good afternoon. Rabbi, good afternoon to you in Morocco. Rena is closer by. You have more time to prepare for Shabbos. She's in Colorado. Welcome. Davida, welcome. Good Chodesh. And together with her sister Liba in New York. Beautiful Celeste Chava is here in Boulder, Colorado, joining us. Rusty's in Texas. John, North Carolina. Daphne, having a fabulous Friday in South Carolina. Susanna in Hollywood, Florida, welcome. And who else is with us here? Joseph in New Jersey. Sandy is in Michigan with us. Anna in New York, if I remember correctly. Simcha in Florida. Diane is in Arizona. Rachamim in Texas. Beautiful. We have Instagrammers with us. Daniel Akoy in Lima, Peru. Jennifer in Minnesota. We have in Chile, Carlos, Telavento, Grateful Living, Rachel in South Carolina, Chaim Harosh, oh, welcome Chaim, a Montrealer. Who else? From Mexico, Erin. Skywatch, okay, good, nice to see you. Clubhousers, we've got Michael, Marcy, Jay, Vilma, Celeste Baccia, Rabbi Ellie, welcome. We have Michelle, Eliana, Avi, and name I can't make out, but welcome. Okay. Love. How do you understand it? What is it exactly? It's definitely something that we seek. What is it that we're seeking? Why are we seeking? All you need is love. Let's get into it. The Alter Rebbe teaches us there are two basic types of love. The first one is the more lofty and, quite frankly, something that we will not attain, but we need to know it's out there. The first one is called Ava Rabba, great magnanimous love, or Ava, and the second is called Ava Selam, love that's called of the world and eternal. World and eternal. Okay. Ava Rabba, this great love, is a love of delight, an ecstasy of God. In other words, the person delights and has ecstasy in God. No other desire. There's nothing else that's present. Nothing else that the person wants but to cleave. Yearning to expire, to be bound up with God. That's it. By the way, how this plays out in human experience, we'll touch upon later. First, we'll deal with the content of the class. It's a fire, passionate love that comes from above. You can't get it. It's gifted to the individual. It's gifted to the individual after they have completed entirely the lower level of love, which we'll understand what that is soon, and also the fear and awe of the divine. Need to incorporate that also, and it's gifted. And this goes after a well-known phrase of the sages that is understood in many dimensions, that it is the way of a man to search out a woman. So the simple understanding we get, of course. I hope we get that. Right. A woman wants to be sought. A man wants to seek. A difference between male and female. But that's not where we're going with this. The Alter Rebbe takes this on a mystical terms. Man versus woman, male versus female. Male is the embodiment of chesed and love. What that means, we're not going to get too much into it at the moment. We have it many times, but of chesed, of love. And a woman is the embodiment of fear. Love and fear, those are the two basic emotions. It might be counterintuitive, this idea, which I get, but so it is. By woman, it's more the fear of the loss of connection. And then initiates the connection. That's why it's the way of a man to seek out a woman. But here, what it means Kabbalistically, it's the way of love to come after, to seek out to that which is sought, which is the awe of God. In other words, what this is implying is that this higher level of love, of delighting in God, this Ava Rabbah, comes after you have everything else in your life. Which, by the way, when do you get married? When you're bored with yourself and you're seeking something beyond yourself. That's parenthetical. Then there's room for another. There's room for another. So here, after you have everything in life, all of the awe, and the respect, the fear of presence of God, the awesomeness of God that you've sensed before you, and you have the love of God, the lower level, then you could be gifted. You could get from on high this higher level. This higher level. This higher level of love of God is so au contraire to what we think of love. It is a love that there's no self-awareness. All there is the awareness of the beloved that you're being attached to. That's all that exists. That's the only reality. It's the only reality. Which is, when you think about it, very contrary to what our sense of love is. But we'll get into the other level in a moment. So you're not feeling, I want to connect. I want to, feel the connection. No. There's no sense of self. There's not even a sense of, how beautiful this is. That's a self-awareness. It is totally nullified to godliness, as the world of Atzilus is totally nullified to God. So likewise is this love. Very few people attain this, only very holy people do. The second level, the lower level, that we can work on and attain, Abba Selam, this lower level, is through an awareness. There is a self that's aware. What's aware? What are you aware of? What are you? What is there in your world? Is that there's a world that God creates. He permeates the world. He's found from within. He encompasses the world. And ultimately, there's nothing else but Him. Just as one word that I say is so insignificant to the capacity of my speech, like to say the word the, right, or any word, compared to my power of speech, compared to where my speech comes from my emotions, my intelligence, it's completely incomparable. So likewise, creation to God is totally incomparable. Totally is nothing. As a result, when a person would meditate upon this, be aware of this. So what's going to happen? You're going to divest yourself from loving something as an end in itself, or I should say as an end for the physical pleasure, or even the spiritual pleasure, right? But what will then you perceive is that all of this is nothing before Him. God is the source of it all. So you'll be drawn to being attached to the source of that material thing. So when you say, when you say, I love this food, whatever food it might be, right? Which is kind of a misnomer in any case. Because you're seeing the food as a reality of its own, that it is something that, pleasing to the eyes, to the taste buds, to the smell, and that's what attracts you. But if we contemplate and recognize that really God is the one that's animating and giving it reality, so then the attraction that we have to the food, which means that attraction, the attachment, which, as we might say, I love this, right, will then be transferred to a love of God. It'll be transferred to a love of God, the source of this thing. The source of this thing. And therefore, you'll seek not the pleasure or the enjoyment of the thing as an end in itself, but you're going to desire the source of that vitality, the source of all of that enjoyment, the attachment that you have through this to God, which is incomparable, that attachment. Now, that itself is hard work, right? Because, again, when we live just by our five senses, then we live as an animal. Animal lives by their senses, and hence by their instinct. And we can do that. When we do that, we're degrading ourselves. But when we ponder, meditate for a moment, and recognize that in that material thing that I'm drawn towards, or that spiritual thing that I'm drawn towards, I recognize that the source of it, the vitality of it, the existence of it is only God. So then I transfer that feeling to a feeling for God. So in the end, I guess what it means is that we shouldn't worship our five senses, as that's reality, that's truth, that's my feelings, and that's where I live. Transfer that to the source of all of those feelings, those senses, the five senses that we have, and recognize that behind all of that is God that's animating it, giving it reality. And therefore, love that. Love that element. And that's called the love of God. It's a lower level, but a profound level. And we can achieve it. It just takes thought, takes meditation. Powerful thoughts. For powerful people, as we are all. Any questions, any comments? Marcavelli, please do not post things that are inappropriate for here. This is a Jewish site, and anything that is not part of that gets deleted. So you've been putting things up and it's being deleted, so there's no point. And if you just want to troll, you know what? That's not respectful. Be respectful. Be respectful to other people and don't do it. Brett, Am I correct when I recognize God's miracles in my life for my wife, son, and ultimately for oops, I lost it. Gotta read faster. Oh, and ultimately for God. Am I correct to recognize? Should you recognize? Of course we should recognize. Absolutely. But here it's a bit different, the point that's being made. Here it's, I don't know. I don't know if this will be a good, I love bananas. Now, there's banana you might not love, or maybe when it's really ripe, I love this banana. Why? Well, do I really love it? No, I don't love it. I love the fact that it makes me feel good, that it makes my palate, comfortable, enjoying the taste thereof. The smell, I love that too. So I don't love it. I love what it does for me, right? And that's what we know about love for the most part. We love because it does something for us. In the five senses, in our spirit, and that's what attracts us to that thing that we love. But that's not real love. Real love is to love the thing for not what it gives you, but for what it is. So I can't love this for what it is unless I love what makes it what it is. That's God. So I transfer from my five senses or what it does for my spirit, the love that's external, and I transfer it to the source of what this is, and what this is an expression of God. So therefore, I love God that animates this, and that I can use this in His service, that I can use this to change the world for good and do another mitzvah. That's what I love about this. The source of God that is its vitality and its reality. That's a lower level of love, but very profound. And I'm glad I found this banana to share with you. I mean, I don't know if you want it. I hope that brought it out clear. I think that should bring it out pretty clear. Any more questions? Okay. Oh, I see Marcy. Marcy, please share with us.
Hi, Rabbi Fine. It wasn't actually my question. It was a question in the chat, and the person who asked it has actually left. But I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay, sure. I didn't see it.
No, I know. I told him that you don't normally check the Clubhouse chat, but he was already gone then. But his question, and maybe he'll catch it on the replay, is, does God love you unconditionally?
Absolutely. No question. Yeah. God loves us unconditionally. Yes, that's the bottom line. And that gives us the capacity to love unconditionally too, because of that God part within us. So actually, let's go back to this banana. When I love this because of what it does for me, I don't really love this. I love its function. Its function is that it's tasty. Its function is fragrance, whatever, This might not have been the best example, but it's the only thing I had close at hand.
I think it's a great example, because if the banana is bruised, or if it goes over and it's too ripe, or
it could still be used.
Not ripe enough. I don't love it as much as I did.
Right. So exactly.
There's
it's conditional.
Going on to make me
right.
love it.
Well, it's conditional. Even it's totally conditional. Even when it's perfect for me, it's conditional because it is only about what I have from it. Right. As opposed to, if I love not what it does for me, which is its function, but I love it. Well, what's it about it? Oh, what's it about it? It is God's. God created this. It's God's creation. And that's what I love about it, is the spark of God. So what does that mean? What does that mean? I love God, and He created this to be used in His service, that I could use this, right? Whether it's to give somebody as a gift, whether to use it, make a blessing over it, and to gain strength from it, so I could then do what I got to do, right? The mitzvahs of the day, whatever it might be, that is transferring it to what it does for me than to what it is, and therefore, actually, let's put it in human terms. If I love you for what you do for me, in other words, because you do so many wonderful things for me, so I love you. So I don't really love you. I love the functions that you do for me. And the moment those functions that you do for me stop, I'm not going to love you anymore. So I don't love you. I love what you do for me. How do I love you? Oh, to appreciate you for who you are, and to love you for who you are. Well, where does that begin? If you can do that for God, then you can do it for another human being. If you can't do it for God, it's going to be very difficult to do it for another human being. I mean, might be somewhat possible. I'm not certain. I don't think so, because human nature is, I do what's good for me. I love what's good for me. So it's in the end, it's what is good for me. That's what I love. Okay, I have a bunch of questions here I need to get to on Instagram, so give me a moment. Okay, at the beginning, Jennifer's asking, at the beginning of the live, you said women fear. Can you elaborate on this? Yes. You know what? I'm going to do it another time. It's too much at the moment. Too much. And I want to find the right words, and I'm not finding the right words right now. It's an elaborate. I'd like to find the right words for something succinct and short. So hold on to it. We'll get to it. Thank you for your patience. Rachel, is it wrong to unattach ourselves from someone who is harming us because of our observance and faith? If we have to interact with them on a regular basis, maybe we can see the opportunity for, Rachel, TRC question, not for here. Okay, you bring it up in TRC. Our next one will be on Thursday, not this Sunday, next Saturday. From Chile, we have Carlos. How do we nurture our love so connection is never diminished but increased? How do we know when you stop loving? Good question. So when the love is based on what I get from the person, right? As like what I get from the banana, that's what makes me love it. And we do that with a person. That's why I love the person for what they make me happy. They make me smile. They make me think deeper. All good things. But yet it's what they do for you. So you're not loving them. You love yourself. And they're just, that's human love, but there's a divine love here that we're talking about that's much more profound and deeper. And that's why, divest yourself of your senses and go to the source of it, which is God, of everything, and love that. Love God for who he is. Now, not merely what he does for you, for the truth of God, that he is the only reality. So by loving God, you're loving truth. You're loving the reality of everything. And therefore appreciating that that's what you want to attach yourself to. You want to attach yourself to reality. You want to attach yourself to truth. You want to attach yourself to the source of all vitality. That's something you're not attaching yourself just to the mere enjoyment of the five senses that I have and the pleasure that I have, right? So with another person, how are you gonna when you will attach yourself to them for who they are, not for what they do to you, or right? Then you can increase in that. Because you're attaching to the core of them. So, for example, if you attach to your spouse because your spouse, well, she cooks for me and she washes my clothes and she keeps a nice, beautiful house, raises the children. Oh, she's amazing. By the way, to appreciate another person for that, you should appreciate that 100%. But that's not why you're attached to that person. You're attached to the person because she's my wife. She's my wife, period. What do you mean, period? What does that mean? She's my wife. Period. Now I can appreciate all those things and I can love those things in her. Otherwise, what will happen is what I get from my wife will be more important than my wife. No, my wife should be more important than what I get from her. And hence, when I don't get something, she's still my wife. I still love her. Even though I'm not getting this or that. That's not so simple. That's why you have to have the love of God before you can truly have that kind of love with another human being. I hope that's clear. Got some powerful stuff over here, Chava. Chava's helping me to find all the powerful things that are said in a minute. Can't love someone or something can cause him or harmful. How do we, if it's harmful, first of all, you're not loving what's harmful of a person, obviously. Do women have a Natural fear of Hashem, yes. So, thank you, Aaron. So that ties in with a woman has a much more natural sense of fear of God than the love of God, the fear of being disattached, as opposed to seeking the attachment. Men are aggressive, women are passive, or male-female. Aggressive is seeking the love. Aggressive, that's action. Fear is the passive of not wanting being disconnected from the love. Very nuanced. A little bit there, Jennifer. We'll have more to come. John, we achieve Avarabba using Chokhmah to be also Chokhmah to love spouse in like manner. To think about that, John. Chokhmah, yes, is bittul. Bittul, putting ourselves aside. Absolutely. Yeah, so I have to think more about that, John. Brett, God told Moses he intended to destroy the Israelites, so they're engaged in the golden calf. Doesn't that mean God's love is conditional? Oh, that's a good question, Brett. Isn't God's... Wow, that's good. Good questions you have, Brett. You need to join us in TRC. So it's very nuanced, and the answer is actually that's where God made the opening for unconditional love that Moshe should express. And if you see the words and very exacting in the words, God says to Moses, "Leave me alone." What happens when someone says to someone else, "Leave me alone"? They don't mean it. We're talking about a loved one, right? With a loved one. They don't mean it. They're just saying that. It's an opening. So God says that as an opening, as Rashi actually explains in Chumash. If you come and learn Chumash and Rashi with us, and you have the answer. That was an opening for Moses to say, God, if you're going to destroy the Jewish people, then, take me out of the book. I don't have anything to do with the Torah. And that's where he expressed this idea of an unconditional love for the Jewish people, and where that was God did all of that in order that he should express that, so it should become a reality here for us. Excellent. Good man. All right. Wow. Reminder, we're finishing Rambam for the second time together. Actually, it's tomorrow we finish it on Shabbos. I feel bad that we're not going to do it together. But today we're continue learning and finish tomorrow. On Sunday there's going to be a conclusion. There'll be a Zoom connection, which I'll be sending out, so you can participate. I'm finishing now, Liba. Thank you. Because I can't continue anymore. I'm sorry that I can't do all the questions. I think we did not all of them, most of them. But we will continue our discussion. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Liba. Thank you, Davida. All right. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad.Chabad in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a good Chodesh, a wonderful Shabbos. And we'll see you by Rambam and by Tanya next week. Be well.
It's